Hello and welcome to this installment of the VMCC public service announcement. We do these videos to simply try and educate the community and give people a different insight into getting in the know about the cannabis industry. This particular series of videos is designed to empower citizens that want to become advocates for cannabis, to empower people that want to impact the political process that we are about to go through to try and get new politicians in office, and next year dealing with trying to finally finish up the cannabis law. So understand this is going to be kind of laid back. It's going to be about 5 or 6 minutes, but the whole purpose is to give you information that you can read over or that you can watch as you're walking into political rallies, as you're walking into town hall meetings, and be educated and be able to step up to the mic and ask these questions so that politicians are asked these questions in a public forum. It is so important. Next, I want to explain, you're going to hear a term, if you've never heard it before, BIPOC, which stands for Black, Indigenous People of Color. And it talks about, and you're going to hear that term referred to when it comes to equity conversations in cannabis, and not really just in cannabis anymore, but you're going to hear that term. So I wanted to explain that so you can follow along. And then also, I want you to understand that this video is meant to be shared. You know, if you know other people that are interested in being an advocate for the cannabis industry in the state of Virginia, feel free to share this video with them. So let's get into today's PSA. 5 questions about cannabis you need to ask your senator or delegate today. 5 questions about cannabis you need to ask your senator or delegate today. Number 1, do you believe the BIPOC people of Virginia should be guaranteed equitable percentages of inclusion for licensure opportunities in the forthcoming adult cannabis industry? Now, some of you may say, oh, that's a bunch of gobbledygook, but it's a clear professional way of asking a politician, do you believe the people that have been harmed by the war on drugs should actually have an opportunity to participate and be included in the industry? This is so very important for politicians in Virginia to be asked publicly. We need people to be on the record for this so that when it comes around to January and the legislative process starts, we know who should be working in favor with us and who is against us. So all the effort can be put forth to make this next go around more productive than in the past. Number 2, do you believe Virginians should still be serving time for cannabis convictions in the Virginia correctional system? We put this question up at number 2 because there's some politicians that we've met and that we've heard do press conferences that say that they're pro-cannabis, but they believe people that are in jail for cannabis possession should stay in jail. And they don't believe in expungement. All of those things you have to understand are used to suppress people's wages. In Virginia, wage suppression is a common thing. And from what I have seen, people that have dealt with cannabis possession charges when they were younger, as they get older and try to advance their career, they're continuously told they have the skill set, but they can't make the same wage as the other people because they have cannabis conviction charges on their record. So we want to know if politicians think that this is just, and if they believe in this practice, because if so, they don't need to be in office. Number 3, do you believe that the BIPOC people who satisfy all the application package requirements and have been negatively impacted by the war on drugs or serve time should be promoted to the top of the list for licensure consideration? And we're talking specifically in this cannabis industry. If a person has served time, yes, they should be included in the expansion of the legalization of marijuana if they choose to participate and want to participate as a business owner. Not everyone wants to. However, those that do want to, because of how the war on drugs and all of the over-policing has negatively impacted or deconstructed their life, we feel that it's just as just for them to have an opportunity to participate in this industry, to make life corrections in terms of income earning potential, and just participate in the industry that they want to actually participate in. So it's important for politicians to be asked this question in public, because this is something that is going to come up as a topic forever in the state of Virginia when it comes to cannabis. There's a lot of cannabis in that picture. What you see here is not a medical MSO. This is an adult use grow house. Two completely different things. Number 4, if you get elected to office, are you going to support blocking multinational corporate predators like Big Pharma? And when I'm talking about Big Pharma, I'm not talking about Cresco or Green Thumb or something like that. I'm talking about Eli Lilly. I'm talking about AstraZeneca. I'm talking about the companies that make the medications that you see on every commercial break on every sports event. Those are the people you need to be concerned about. Big liquor. When I'm talking about the liquor companies, I'm talking about companies that are major distilleries and distributors like Jack Daniels, like Smirnoff. Companies like that have interest in the cannabis industry, as well as big tobacco. And this is Virginia, so we all know about big tobacco. So if you get elected to office, are you going to support blocking multinational corporate cannabis predators like Big Pharma, the liquor companies, and big tobacco from attempting to gobble up the Virginia market when federal approval happens? This is very important because we want to try and find out who is in favor of the small business owner and who is leaning towards large corporate sensitivity. When I'm talking about large corporate sensitivity, I'm talking about huge companies. A lot of people I've met in this industry confuse companies like Columbia Care as being a huge company. It's big in the specific cannabis market. However, in the big picture of industry, it's very, very small. So, it's important to ask politicians these questions, because this is going to be most impactful when it's time for federal approval. Because if the politicians are leaning towards the big corporations, that likely is going to benefit those corporations when federal approval comes, which would typically wipe out opportunity for small businesses. And we are pro small business. And number 5. Do you know the difference between medical cannabis, adult cannabis, Delta-8, and hemp products? This is kind of a trick question, but it's not. It's really a loaded question. And it's important to ask politicians this question in public, on record, for a couple reasons. One, Delta-8 is something that the governor has brought up and been talking about continuously. And from a lot of meetings that we've had with politicians, many of them view everything listed here as the same product, the same thing. It's no different. They say, oh, it's all some illicit substance. It's all the same stuff. Now, you and I both know that that's insane. That's nowhere close to the truth. However, that's why this question is so important to ask, because we need people to actually state what they know and what they understand. Because if a person, when I'm talking about a person, I'm talking about a politician. If a politician doesn't know the difference between these 4 things, they really don't need to be making any decisions in regards to the industry until they at least get that fundamental level of understanding and education under their belt. Don't ever forget, Virginia's elected officials work for us. They must be accountable for messing up the cannabis industry. The state that the cannabis industry is in right now in Virginia is because our state elected officials several years ago did a very poor job of actually outlining and framing up an industry. What most people really focused on is trying to get them an adequate tax base to get to the money that they feel they should be able to generate for their local municipality and area that they take care of. Not the way to go about this. So we want all Virginians that are cannabis interested, cannabis advocates, to understand if you don't ask the politicians for what you want, you won't get it. They won't just decide, yeah, let's give this to those people. That's not how this works. So everybody needs to make a difference. How do you make a difference? Got to get educated. This is the beginning of it. Once you get educated, you got to get engaged. You have to actually go use and want to use what you've learned to learn more. And as you start getting engaged, then you get active. You actually start talking to other people, getting other people involved, and getting prepared for what is to come. Because what is to come is an election, a legislative season, and I always say season instead of session, because legislative season in Virginia is only about 2 months long, and then it disappears for another year. So we have to be on it. And why? Because you got to get in where you fit in. The only way you can figure out where you fit in is by preparing for the industry and being active. You'll know what you're interested in, and then it makes it much easier to pursue it. And when should you do this? Now. I mean, today. Phone calls don't hurt. Call your politician. Ask. Call your politician. Tell them how you feel. But most importantly, as we go through this election process, this campaign process between now and the November election here in the state of Virginia, it is important to get educated, get engaged so you can be active. And once you're active, you can be prepared, and then you'll be able to get in where you want to fit in. These are some resources for action. These links that you see here, you can take a picture of them or type them or pause the video, however you see fit. But these resources help you to learn about your politician and who's representing you. You can go to these links and they'll tell you, you can find out who is your senator, who is your delegate. You can also look up on these resources their voting record. If you want to see if the person that represents you has actually been voting in favor of cannabis, you can go check that out. And we encourage everyone to check out these numbers and look at your politician's stats and data before going to every rally, before going to every political town hall event, because we want you to have the most accurate information. We want you to be knowledgeable so you can actually apply this information in an effective manner. You can check us out, VMCC, at vmccequity.org, our website, to learn more about us. You can email us at the email address you see here. I also encourage you, if you're interested in following our events, follow us on social media at these platforms where you can keep up to date with what we have going on with events, because we always have a new boot camp coming up or a new cannabis opportunity movement event coming up, because we're about educating the community. So definitely check us out. Follow us on the platforms so that you can be in the know. I want to thank you all for plugging in with us today. Please, please, please take heed to what is in this video. Please share this video. We want to encourage everyone to be active in this fight for cannabis as an economic opportunity here in the state of Virginia. This is Paul McLean saying prosperity, good health, and peace.